Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome inside Pheno Field here in Milford, as Milford TV is once again happy to bring you coverage of Scarlet Hawks athletics. This is Tim Coet on the call as we have now come to the end of our spring sports regular season coverage. Our finale here of this 2023 spring sports season features your Milford Scarlet Hawks varsity baseball team in action against a rival from the Davenport division of the Hockomock League in the Mansfield Hornets. This is the second go-around to try to get this baseball game in, and we were here just about a month ago when that first day rolled around where Mansfield came to town, and we had a good game in the making, a 2-2 tie into the third inning, but that was when Mother Nature had other ideas for the rest of the night, specifically here in the Milford area where torrential downpours came down and quickly washed away any chance of getting the rest of that ball game in. So we start fresh here this afternoon. This game restarting back to the first inning, so wiping away all of those stats from the early innings from the first time around for this matchup. Now, I would like to tell you that we're confident that we can get this game in rain-free. However, we are once again on the verge of some rain coming into the area, more likely around the 6 o'clock hour, where things could get heavy from there. So hoping for a pitcher's duel here and hoping that this game moves along at a good clip, but we're out here once again. Good weather at least to get this game started. Temperatures in the 70s, a hazy sky overhead, as Evan Cornelius is out on the hill getting the start for Milford here today. And quickly before we get this game going, let's bring you the starting lineups. First for the visiting Mansfield Hornets. Their lineup looks like this. Connor Zukowski leads off at shortstop. The starting pitcher Jacob Madak bats second, with Sam Martin, the third baseman, batting third. In the cleanup spot is the second baseman Matt Tashiro, with the designated hitter Wyatt Bolduc batting fifth. Anthony Sareva is the right fielder batting sixth, with the left fielder Drew Urban batting seventh. Luke Rogan plays first base and bats eighth, and in the ninth spot is the catcher Aiden Jones. We'll get to the Scarlet Hawks lineup in the bottom half of the inning, but in the meantime, we'll get things started here as Connor Zukowski is about to stand in. Milford in their white pinstripe home uniforms, ready to get their season finale started. This is the last game on the docket for the Scarlet Hawks here in the regular season. Milford coming into this matchup in a tie for fourth place in the Kelly Rec standings with an 11-8 record overall on the year. They're 7-8 against Hockomock League competition. Mansfield, meanwhile, comes into the game at 14-7 overall on the year, 11-4 against their Hockomock League opponents, and they're in a tie for first place in the Davenport standings with the Foxborough Warriors. We're happy to have all of our live viewers on hand, whether you're tuned into our live stream on YouTube or you're tuned in on our Milford TV educational or HD channels. We're very pleased to have you with us for another edition of Scarlet Hawks Athletics here on Milford TV. And this game is now officially underway as the senior Evan Cornelius deals in strike one, working quickly. This pitch misses away. When these two teams tried to get this matchup in back in April, it was Anthony LaPierre getting the start in that game. Allowed 2 runs in the early innings. Again, it was a 2-2 tie partway through the bottom half of the third inning when the skies opened up and play quickly came to an end. But it is Cornelius getting the nod here this afternoon, about to deal in a 2-1 pitch to Zukowski, and that's in for strike 2. Defensively for the Scarlet Hawks, it is Keith Lee behind the plate, Louis Consigli at third, Joey McGee at short, Sean McGee at second, and Damian Carter at first. Left to right in the outfield, Joe Butler, Nick Koch, and Jacob Grove. Here's a 2-2 pitch, and it's waved at and missed. A late swing and a bit of a lunge there for Zukowski, and he is the first strikeout victim of the night for Evan Cornelius. Has pitched very well for the Hawks throughout this regular season. As always, a good live arm for Cornelius that Scarlet Hawks fans have had a chance to see both on the football field and here at Pheno throughout his varsity high school career. Base is empty now for Cornelius' counterpart in this game, Jacob Madak. Madak takes a first pitch strike. Madak was trouble for Scarlet Hawks pitching when these teams played back in April. Here's an 0-1 pitch, and that darts outside for ball 1. Madak batting out of the cleanup spot that day, ended up going 2 for 2 with a single, a double, and 2 runs batted in. But again, those stats got washed away with the rain. And Now cannot catch up to the Cornelius fastball, and he is behind in the count. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Mansfield sporting a black uniform top for this game today with the traditional Mansfield green woven in. Here's the 1-2. Tried to check the swing. That pitch stayed outside. He did hold up. Not much of a breeze here as the game gets started. The American flag out in left center field laying still. 2-2 pitch from Cornelius is swung on and missed. Good velocity right out of the gates for Cornelius. He has struck out the first 2 in this inning, and that will bring up the Mansfield third baseman, Sam Martin. Martin in on the right side to face Cornelius, immediately into the wind. And this pitch is sent in the air out to right field towards the line. And making the catch out there in left field to finish off an easy 1-2-3 inning. Grove making the catch to finish off a quick and easy top half of the first. We'll keep it right here as we will get to the Scarlet Hawks starting lineup now in between innings after a nice quick and clean first inning for Cornelius with a pair of strikeouts. Nice start to his game. So let's get to that Scarlet Hawks starting lineup now. It looks like this. It is the center fielder Nick Koch leading it off. Damian Carter plays first base and bats second, with Keith Lee the catcher in the number 3 spot. Evan Cornelius, today's starting pitcher, bats cleanup, with Lewis Consigli playing third base and batting 5th. Batting 6th is the second baseman Sean McGee, with Joey McGee the shortstop batting 7th. Victor Martinez is your designated hitter batting 8th, and in the 9th spot is the left fielder Joe Butler. Jacob Grove, who just made that catch to conclude the top half of the first inning, is flexed out of the lineup today, only playing defensively. And so now it is Jacob Madak, the right-hander, making his warm-up tosses. So a completely different pitching matchup here this afternoon than when these teams tried to play back in April. It was LaPierre on the mound for Milford. It was Ryan Jeans getting the start for Mansfield. Jeans ended up pitching 2 innings in that game, allowed 2 runs on 4 hits, struck out 2 and walked a batter. LaPierre, in his 2 innings of work, allowed 1 earned run on 3 hits, 2 walks, and 3 Ks. The team's trying to get this game started a little bit early. They were able to get things going maybe about 5 or 10 minutes before the originally scheduled start time. This game had an official start time of 4 p.m. Tried to move it up to a 3:30 start, but ultimately action getting going more like 3:50. As again, a lot of the spring teams have been very aware of the impending rain coming in from the west. The softball team moved up their start time by an hour. A lot of the other spring sports teams trying to move up those start times to get in before the inclement weather approaches. We're ready to begin the bottom half of the first inning now as Nick Koch takes a look at a called strike 1 from Madak. Now 1 ball, 1 strike count. Now Koch swings away, pokes it foul, out of play. Defensively for the Hornets, it is Aiden Jones behind the plate, Sam Martin at third, Connor Zukowski at short, Matt DeShiro at second, and Luke Rogan at first. Left to right in the outfield, Drew Urban, Kyle Marnikovic in center, and Anthony Sareva in right field as Madak makes quick work of Nick Koch to start off this home half of the first inning. Marnikovic in center field for Mansfield, also flexed out of the Mansfield lineup. He is only playing defensively. Base is empty with 1 down now for Damian Carter, who takes a look at a called strike 1. So these 2 pitchers pouring in the strikes to get this game started. Light breeze now starting to blow in towards the plate as Madak's 0-1 pitch misses high. Wind up in the pitch. Something off speed there from Madak. Stayed high, and the count goes to 2-1. And now a wave and a miss. That pitch broke down and out of the strike zone. Carter couldn't hold up on the swing, and the count evens at 2. Milford looking to shake themselves out of a late season losing streak in this game today. Here's the 2-2 pitch. It's popped up down the right field line. Racing into foul territory now goes Sareva. He's able to make the catch. So the base is clear now with 2 down, as Keith Lee now will step to the plate. Milford coming into today on a 3-game losing streak. It's been a series of real tough opponents to close out this regular season for Milford, as Lee is late on the fastball by Madak for strike 1. The Hawks had been in one of their better streaks of the season prior to this losing streak. They won 4 straight from May 5th to May 12th. Victories in that stretch against Hopedale, Oliver Ames, Attleboro, and North Attleboro. But the opponents since have been a murderer's row of King Philip, Taunton, and Franklin. And all of those games ended in losses for Milford, as Lee sends a fly ball out to left field, now twisting towards foul territory, and that is out of the reach of Drew Urban, and Lee's going to end up at second base. Not sure if that was the wind that started to push that ball or if it was a bad read from Urban. He started breaking in towards the infield and then tried to readjust towards the line. Was able to get there but couldn't squeeze the ball, and it landed in fair territory. That'll go as an E7. Gives Milford a 2-out base runner in scoring position now for Evan Cornelius. Down to second for Madak, now comes to the plate with a breaking ball that stays high. One-0 pitch now. That's down and in, 2-0. Madak with 14 pitches so far in this first inning. Should have gotten out of it 1-2-3, but the error has opened the door for Milford. Able to get a called strike to bring the count to 2-1. Weren't able to get a hold of up-to-date stats for the Scarlet Hawks prior to this matchup. Cornelius takes again, that hits on the outside corner, and the count goes to 2 balls and 2 strikes, so a chance for Madak to get out of it. Here's the 2-2. Goes right back to that outside corner, but misses. Right in the same neighborhood as strike 2, but this time Cornelius gets the benefit of the call. And so now a full count on the Milford starting pitcher. Madak a little bit more deliberate pace with the runner in scoring position. Here's the 3-2, and it's slapped over towards shortstop. Booted there by Zukowski. They'll gather it in behind second base, but meanwhile, the courtesy runner in for Keith Lee comes all the way around from second base to score. That was Brady Butler running for Lee. Broke on the pitch and then just kept on going as that ball squirted away from Zukowski. And so Milford, on the benefit of back-to-back errors by the Hornets, able to take a 1-0 lead. I think that would go as a straight E6. That was a fairly routine grounder. Not sure if it hit off the glove of Zukowski or his foot, or might have picked up a rock on the way through the infield, but regardless, Could not make the play cleanly, and Milford with a rally of sorts here in this first inning, really self-inflicted by the Hornets. Now a 1-ball, 1-strike count on Lewis Consigli. Takes that pitch outside. So Milford with a run in this inning without the benefit of a hit. They have Cornelius now at first base. And here is a 2-1 pitch right down Broadway for strike 2. 2-2 now the count on Consigli. And a check over to first base, and Cornelius is picked off. A little bit of a stutter step for Cornelius to get back to the first base bag, and a quality throw from Madak right on the money. And so Cornelius is picked off. And so the inning comes to an end. An adventurous frame on both sides, miscues for both teams, but Milford ends up grabbing a run. And so after one full inning of play here from Pheno Field, it is the Scarlet Hawks 1 and the Mansfield Hornets nothing. Get the second inning started in just a moment here on Milford TV.
Scott, are we clear for the moment? Okay. I just want to show you one thing. So, like, let's say we're zoomed in, we got the batter, that he makes a hit. So what I want your instinct to be upon the hit, again, you got the first part with just like jamming on that, but I want you to even just take your eye, as soon as you know that ball is hit, take your eyes off the screen and look up to where the ball is going. Because then you can get a gauge of what part of the field you're going to be moving to, and that will, I think, help guide you a little bit more. Okay. So just keep that in mind. Like, don't be afraid to be a little bit late on the play. Just try to get in the rhythm of finding out where that ball is with your own eyes. And then, like, at that point, like, your body will kind of start to just, like, adjust based upon instincts. You know? So see how you do with that. Because, like I said, I want them to be following that ball around the play. Like, don't worry about the runners necessarily. There's certain occasions where you can do the runners. Like, obviously, like, when nobody's on base and, like, he walks, that's an easy time to fall into the first base and stick with him and stuff like that. But otherwise, you need to know where the ball is on the infield, so that's where you want your main focus to be. And then after the play is all done, like, if somebody got a hit, then you can go for it, like the field for it, things like that. That's what you do. The process. Scott, how you doing over there? You got everything updated? Not the top of the second? Or the tooth of the second? Alright, I'm gonna put that down there.
Top of the second inning, Mansfield will send their 4, 5, and 6 hitters to the plate against Evan Cornelius. Evan needed just 11 pitches to get through the first inning. Matt Tashiro, a left-handed batter, standing in to get the second inning started. Milford a 1-0 lead, again thanks to back-to-back errors for the Hornets. Tashiro now rips a ball foul past the third base dugout. Tashiro had a hit in that ill-fated first matchup between these two teams. Now sees that ball skip in, avoids contact as that ball trickles to the backstop. It's a 1-ball, 1-strike count. Cornelius with 2 strikeouts in the first inning. Now ready with a 1-ball, 1-strike pitch, and this is sent to the opposite field, and that's going to drop in for a base hit. First hit of the ball game for either team. DeShiro aboard with a leadoff single. Nice piece of hitting there for DeShiro, just taking the pitch, going with it to the opposite field. Cornelius now deals strike 1 into Wyatt Bolduc, the designated hitter. Immediately, Mansfield puts the tying run aboard to start this second inning. Big secondary lead for DeShiro as Bolduc fouls the pitch away. Down in the count, 0-2. Cornelius now steps off, sends DeShiro scampering back to first base. Some scoreboard issues here at the field, unable to update the count, but it is a no-ball, 2-strike count as now a fastball comes up and in around the chin of Bolduc. So 1 ball and 2 strikes now the count. Next one from Cornelius does not miss by much. Maybe just a bit outside. And it's now 2 balls and 2 strikes. Now a check over at first base. And DeShiro able to dive back in safely. Cornelius keeping tabs on that runner. A big secondary lead. He goes. The pitch was up and in. Gets away from Keith Lee. And DeShiro gets down to second base uncontested on the steal. So perhaps a little bit too much of Cornelius's attention on that runner. He uncorks a wild pitch that allows DeShiro to get into scoring position without a throw. It is now a 3-2 pitch, and that's on the outside corner for strike 3. So in the end, Cornelius able to get Bolduc for his 3rd strikeout. 1 out in the inning, and a Mansfield runner in scoring position at second base now ahead of Anthony Sareva, the right fielder. Pitch breaking back to the corner for strike 1 on Sareva. This time it stays inside. The count evens at a ball and a strike. Mansfield coming into this game this afternoon off of a victory a couple of days ago against the Canton Bulldogs. And meanwhile, Sareva can't lay off that inside fastball. That's a 1-2 count. Mansfield winners of 6 out of their last 7. The only loss in that stretch, a closely fought game against Zavarian back on May 19th. Here's a 1-2, and it's swung on and missed. Already the 4th strikeout in the outing for Evan Cornelius. So 2 outs, that runner remains at second base now for Drew Urban. Cornelius bluffing that throw down to second base, trying to keep DeShiro close. Urban committed the first of the 2 Mansfield errors in the bottom of the first inning that paved the way for Milford's run, so an opportunity for him to atone with a runner in scoring position, the tying run in scoring position with 2 down here in the second. Here comes an 0-1, and that's fought off foul. Cornelius has been missing a lot of bats through these first 2 innings. A rare foul ball there off the bat of Urban. He falls behind 0-2. Cornelius about to throw his 27th pitch. Here it comes, and it is swung on and missed for strike 3. So after the leadoff single, Cornelius is able to get the next 3 in order, all on strikeouts, and 5 Ks through the first 2 innings for Evan. That'll send us on to the home half of the second. It remains 1-0 in favor of Milford here on Milford TV. Well, Louis Consigli was the batter at the plate when Evan Cornelius was picked off to conclude the bottom of the first, so he will lead things off in the bottom half of inning number 2. The Hawks still hanging on to a 1-0 lead. Jacob Madak out for his second inning of work for the Hornets. His first pitch of the inning is spiked into the dirt for ball 1. Consigli's been a valuable cog in the wheel of this Scarlet Hawks team this season. He's become a fixture in the lineup, showing bunt here on the 1-0 pitch, and again, that bounces in for ball 2. That bunt attempt gets the corner infielders in tight on the grass. Here's the 2-0 pitch. This time Consigli swings away, pops it straight up over towards second base. And now a shade onto the outfield grass. DeShiro is able to make the catch for the first out here in the second. So the base is empty ahead of Sean McGee. He takes the first pitch for a strike. And he swings away here, drives this pitch out towards right field, but not deep. Sareva loses the hat as he comes in to haul that in for out number 2. So 2 quick outs here in the bottom of the second. And now Joey McGee, the shortstop, checks in on the right side. Takes the first pitch low for ball 1. Still a fairly light breeze on and off coming in towards the plate. As that pitch hits the dirt for ball 2, just avoids contact with the foot of Joey McGee. Chatter out of the Milford dugout, trying to spark a 2-out rally as the pitch is in for a called strike. Milford looking for their first win against the Hornets since the 2021 season. Milford overall just 1 win in their last 8 head-to-head meetings with the Hornets. 3-1 pitch is a tapper sent over towards the left side. Waiting for it is the third baseman. Has to hustle a throw to first base. It's not there in time. It was very slow developing on the left side of the infield. Sam Martin did everything he could. Quick release on the throw, an accurate throw, but McGee able to beat it out for an infield single. So that's the first hit for the Hawks. Gives Victor Martinez a chance to come to the plate in the inning. As the breeze comes in a little harder in towards the plate. Just hoping that the weather conditions continue to hold as we go forward in this game, as Martinez swings and fouls that ball directly off the catcher's mask. He will hand deliver the baseball back to his battery mate. Perhaps that got the home plate umpire. Yeah, that did just miss the helmet of Aiden Jones, and it caught the home plate umpire square in the mask. So the catcher giving the umpire a little bit of recovery time. He seems to be okay. That's always scary when that happens. Meanwhile, it's a 2-ball, 1-strike count now on Martinez, as McGee stretches out a lead at first. And again, Madak checks over in that direction. Had a pickoff to end the first inning. Here McGee able to get back. He takes off as Martinez slices this ball foul just over the reach of the spectators down the right field line. A lot of folks lined up right on the chain link at the edge of the playing surface down the right field line. Two balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs in the inning. And again, they check on McGee at first, a closer play, and he was just able to get back in. All the umpires over in the Mansfield dugout thought that was a second pickoff for Madak. Instead, we'll see another 2-2 pitch that misses high. A full count now on Martinez, so McGee will have a chance to get a head start here. 3 balls, 2 strikes, with 2 away in the bottom of the second. Runner goes, payoff pitch is outside for ball 4. Martinez able to lay off a pretty close pitch. Works the first walk allowed by Madak, and that will give Joe Butler, the number 9 hitter, a chance to bat in the inning. Right now, Joey McGee standing at third base. Now heading back to second, so taking an opportunity to have a chat with Milford head coach Alex Dion during this mound visit. And so now he retreats to the second base bag. So it's runners at first and second. Two outs in the inning. And so now we'll see Butler come to the plate. 38 pitches now in the outing for Madak. Not quite through with the second inning. And before Butler sees a pitch, Madak spins around the pitcher's mound to look Joey McGee back to the bag. And now a pitch misses outside. Milford with pretty good speed on the bases, with Joey McGee at second, Victor Martinez at first. Right now the first baseman playing right behind Martinez off the bag. As Madak falls behind Butler now, 2 balls and no strikes. This is amping up the chatter in the Milford dugout, hoping for another 2-out rally. A 2-0 on the outside corner for a strike. Milford grabbing a run on a couple of errors in the first inning, now with a 2-on, 2-out situation here in the second. And Butler jumping ahead in the count now, 3 balls and 1 strike. So the command a little bit shaky here for Jacob Madak. Gets the sign from Jones. Now his 3-1 offering is swung on, fouled away. Over the backstop and out of play, so both runners now will have a chance to get started on another big 3-2 pitch. Butler ready at the plate. Madak now to the set. Payoff pitch. This is for ball 4. So the bottom of the lineup proving to be problematic for Madak. After he got the first 2 outs in the inning, the number 7 hitter McGee with an infield single, and then back-to-back walks to Martinez and Butler. And the bases are now loaded for the leadoff man, Nick Koch. He takes the first pitch high for ball 1, and right now the command just not there for Madak. Don't see any activity loosening right now for the Hornets. 45 pitches now for Madak, as he misses high with another. Milford showing good patience here. Bases full of Milford runners. Here's the 2-0, well high for ball 3. Koch with a big opportunity here to really narrow down that strike zone. Frustration now out of the Mansfield dugout, as they will start to get some activity loosening in the bullpen. And right now, Mansfield coach looks like he's concerned about a potential injury here to the arm of Madak. And so not an official mound visit here. They'll call this I'm sure, an injury visit to the mound, as head coach Chris Hill checks on his pitcher, and that's going to be it, it looks like, for Madak. So some changes on the way here, as it looks like Luke Rogan might take over on the mound. He heads to the dugout to grab a different glove. So Rogan's going to be the new pitcher, and it looks like it might be a straight swap of positions as Madak will take over at first. So not an injury situation concerning enough to Coach Hill to pull Madak completely out of the game. He'll take over at first base. And Luke Rogan enters the pitcher's mound in a less than ideal situation here. So Coach Hill makes the pitching change in the midst of the Nick Koch at bat. It's a 3-ball, no-strike count, so not an ideal situation for a relief pitcher to inherit. So Madak lasts just an inning and 2/3, allows an unearned run on just one hit, and that hit did not even leave the infield. Walked the last 2 batters he faced, had 1 strikeout in the game, and he is responsible for all 3 runners on for the Scarlet Hawks with 2 outs in this second inning. So an opportunity Milford does not want to squander here. Coach Hill hoping that a different look here now from the left side might yield some better results. So a few more warm-up tosses here for Rogan. So Mansfield pitching on point the last time out against Canton a couple of days ago, a 5-0 victory. Pitching's been good more often than not. Only outlier in this stretch, the 10 runs allowed to Zavarian. Other than that, allowing just 4 runs in a victory over Stoughton. Shutting out Sharon in a mercy rule victory. 3 runs allowed in a victory against Oliver Ames. 2 runs allowed in a win over Foxborough. So the pitching really has been dominant for Mansfield lately, but they'll have to rely heavily on the bullpen here to get them through this one. So Rogan is ready now to deal with Nick Koch. And again, it is a 3-ball, no-strike count on Koch, as it'll now be lefty versus lefty. Pressure on Rogan to find the strike zone right away. Here is the 3-0. Koch shows bunt, pulls it back, but takes a strike. And now the 3-1 pitch misses outside for ball 4. It is a bases-loaded walk as Joey McGee will trot across home plate with the second Milford run of the game. So that is 3 consecutive walks now for Mansfield pitching. And now Damian Carter all over the first pitch he sees, but he fouls it away. Not a bad move for Coach Hill to bring in the lefty with back-to-back left-handed batters atop this Milford lineup. And now strike 3, so that was still Koch at the plate. So getting buried in the scorecard there. Not sure what exactly happened there on that 3-0 pitch. So some confusion there, my apologies. So Koch ended up staying up there, and Rogan was able to work his way back into the at-bat to get the strikeout. So Milford cannot cash in the rally. It stays a 1-0 game. We'll head on to inning number 3 when we come back next here on Milford TV. So at the end of the day, it was a strikeout. Rogan comes in inheriting a 3-ball no-strike count in the at-bat against Koch, and ends up battling back to get the strikeout, albeit on the benefit of a couple of very borderline calls. In particular, the 3-1 pitch looked to be well out of the strike zone. It was a late strike call. We already had put it in the book as a bases-loaded walk, and by the time looked back out at the field of play, assumed Carter was at the plate. So all kinds of confusion there at the end of that inning. My apologies, but it all added up to a key strikeout of Rogan. And so instead of Milford getting the bases-loaded walk to push in another run, Rogan does the job out of the bullpen, strikes out Koch, keeps it a 1-0 game. And wouldn't you know it, now Luke Rogan's at the plate to get this third inning started, facing Evan Cornelius, who's thrown 27 pitches. Rogan takes a first pitch strike. Cornelius had a bit of a wait there in between innings, but he has been dominant through the first 2, 5 Ks out of the first 7 batters that he has faced. A 1-ball, 1-strike count now against the number 8 hitter, Luke Rogan. Started out as the first baseman, but now in relief of Jacob Madak, the 2 swapping spots on the field. And Rogan now ahead 2 balls and 1 strike, so a longer second inning, and every time these innings take longer to play out, the danger increases of seeing some raindrops here this afternoon. Meanwhile, Rogan laces one back up the middle for a leadoff base hit. So Rogan right now flying high. A key strikeout in relief, and now leads off this top half of the third inning with a hard hit ball up the middle. So second straight inning that Mansfield's been able to get the leadoff runner on. Now the number 9 man, Aiden Jones, at the plate. He shows bunt, does not offer, and takes a strike. Consigli charging in hard from third base. Cornelius checking on Rogan over at first. Didn't have a particularly large lead. 0-1 pitch that darts down and away. Milford again expecting the bunt from Jones. Cornelius back to the set. Runner doesn't go. The pitch is a called strike 2. And now the pitch misses for ball 2. Cornelius taking a little bit more time in between pitches here. Ready now with the 2-2, and it is swung on and missed for strike 3. Strikeout number 6. So that will bring us back up to the top spot in the Mansfield order, and Connor Zukowski. He swings at the first pitch, hits a chopper. Cornelius fields it in front of the mound. The throw is low to first base. It gets away from Carter. Everyone's going to be safe. Zukowski remains at first base, but Rogan able to go from first to third on the play. Not the easiest of plays for Cornelius as he had to come off the mound, played that ball towards the third base side. Throw a little bit low to first base, so that'll likely go as a single. And then an error on the throw, allowing the lead runner to advance. So Milford now with their first error. 2 errors on Mansfield, 1 now on the Hawks, and runners at the corners for Mansfield. They have that tying run at third base with 1 out in the inning. And it's a 1-ball, 1-strike count now on Madak. Command faltered for Madak on the pitcher's mound in that second inning. He ended up lasting an inning in 2/3, but remains in the game now playing first base. Here's the 1-1. That's in for a strike. Half a dozen Ks in the game so far for Cornelius. This would be a good time for strikeout number 7 to keep the runners at their respective spots. Here comes the 1-2, and it's fought off foul to the backstop. Gathered in by the on-deck hitter, Sam Martin. 1-2, 1 out in this top of the third inning. Here's the pitch. And off the end of the bat, Madak able to foul that away to stay alive. Cornelius, a slow walk back to the pitcher's mound here with a 1-ball, 2-strike count. Now sets at the belt. Runners hold as the pitch is swung on and missed for strike 3. Might have been foul tipped into the mitt of Keith Lee as Madak went after a pitch off the outside part of the plate. And so it is indeed strikeout number 7 for Evan Cornelius. The runners hold, Rogan at third, Zukowski at first. So chance for Cornelius to get out of the jam if he can take care of Sam Martin. Steps in, batting 0 for 1 so far on the day. He takes a borderline pitch that goes Cornelius's way for strike 1. The Mansfield bench not pleased with the call. The next pitch for Evan will be 45 in the outing. It's swung on and missed for strike 2. Martin, one of just 3 batters in the Mansfield lineup that have not struck out yet against Mansfield, but he's in an 0-2 hole. The pitch swung on and missed for strike 3. Cornelius gets him on 3 pitches, strikes out the side for the second time in this game. 8 Ks in all so far for Cornelius, and he strands 2 runners aboard in the inning for the Hornets. So we will move along now to the home half of inning number 3. It remains a slim 1-0 lead for Milford here on your home for Scarlet Hawks Athletics, Milford TV. Getting started now with the bottom of the third inning. Milford sending up Damian Carter, Keith Lee, and Evan Cornelius. Damian Carter batting from the right side. Again, apologies for the confusion at the conclusion of the last inning. Got all kinds of twisted around with who was at the plate. Carter followed by Keith Lee and Evan Cornelius, facing Luke Rogan now on for his first full inning of relief after he danced his way out of a jam not of his own making in that second inning. It's a 1-ball, 1-strike count now on Carter. He fouls one off to the backstop for strike 2. Carter flew out to right field his first time up. Official count, 2 balls and 2 strikes. I think they might be having some connectivity issues keeping up with the scoreboard here at the field as that ball drifts foul and out of play. Over into the parking lot. So still 2-2 the count. Next one from Rogan, that misses badly. A full count now. Two pitch from Rogan, misses for ball 4. And so there is the third walk surrendered by Mansfield pitching, as Milford will put their leadoff man on base. And Keith Lee now will stand in for the second time this afternoon. Reached on an error out in left field by Drew Urban that set the stage for the Hawks to score their lone run. No ball, 1-strike count, with Carter leading away at first. As that pitch drops in low. Both of these teams bound for postseason play. Milford entered into this week's action with the number 12 position in the Division I power rankings, as Lee fouls that ball off and out of play for strike 2. And Mansfield, part of the Division II power rankings, they come in with the number 14 position with their 14-7 record. So Division II with some titans at the top of those rankings, including Milton with 16 wins, Leominster with 15 wins, King Philip out of the Hockomock League with 13 wins. Check over to first base. Damian Carter able to get back standing. Next pitch from Rogan, that misses outside. So now Rogan's command is not particularly sharp. Now a pause here as Rogan steps off. Keith Lee backs out. And now a ground ball hit deep in the hole at shortstop. It's smothered there by Zukowski. He slings it over to first base, and they get the out. Outstanding play by Connor Zukowski. Headlong dive deep in the hole at shortstop and able to muscle a throw over to first base that gets there just ahead of Keith Lee for the first out in the inning. Terrific play. Nice job by Maydak of gathering in that throw. So Carter is safe at second base, 1 out in the inning. Lee out on the 6-3 ground out. And Cornelius now takes a pitch outside. Evan also reached on an error in the first inning, an error that was charged to Zukowski, but making up for that with a dazzling play here just moments ago. And he'll get another try here as he gets a two-hopper off the bat of Cornelius. He'll fire an easy throw to first base this time for out number 2. Damian Carter moves on to third base, but now with 2 outs in the inning. And so now Consigli will step in. Consigli 0 for 1. He popped out in his first at bat. Pitch missing to Consigli as the Milford dugout continues to try to get the scoreboard operational here. Our scoreboard up and running. The score continues to be 1-0. Milford with a 2-out base runner at third as Consigli fouls that pitch away. Lefty Rogan to the set. Here's the pitch. Sliced foul over the bleachers and out of play. Rogan 1 strike away from getting out of trouble. Some nasty looking storms closing in on the Worcester area now. I think we've got about an hour, if that, before the storms arrive here in Milford. So gonna need to try to pick up the pace in this game if we can. Here's the next pitch from Rogan. It's high. Should the inning continue, we would see Sean McGee. As the pitch misses inside for ball 4. Second walk in the inning for Rogan, and Milford now will have runners at the corners. Milford has had 7 batters reach base so far through the first 3 innings in this game. Only 1 of them have gotten on through the benefit of a hit. We've seen 4 walks. We've seen 2 errors. Mansfield not exactly razor sharp through the early innings of this game. And so Milford presented with another opportunity. As Sean McGee takes a look at strike 1. Hawks leaving the bases loaded in the second. And now Sean McGee pops this pitch up into right center field. It is Sareva over to make the play, and that will end the inning. So now 5 runners stranded over the last 2 innings for Milford, unable to capitalize on their chances so far. And so they will continue to carry a 1-0 lead now into inning number 4, which will get started right after this here on Milford TV. 1 run, 1 hit, 1 error so far for the Scarlet Hawks. No runs, 3 hits, and 2 errors for the Mansfield Hornets as we start the top half of inning number 4. Mansfield has left 3 runners stranded through the early innings. Milford has left 5 in the last 2 innings alone. So Evan Cornelius back out. He has been outstanding. He's scattered 3 hits so far while striking out 8 batters through the first 3. Only 1 out in this game on the Mansfield side has come any other way than a strikeout, and that was the flyout by Sam Martin back in the first inning. Elias's pitch misses low. Mansfield feeling good in the dugout here to get this inning started. Happy to see this game at just a 1-0 margin. Called strike. Poured in by Cornelius. Matt DeShiro at the plate. He'll be followed by Wyatt Bolduc and Anthony Sareva. As that pitch misses for ball 4, so DeShiro ends up working a leadoff walk. So the 3rd inning in a row now that Mansfield has put their leadoff runner on base. Stranded a runner at second base in the 2nd inning, had runners at the corners last inning but could not score. So now Wyatt Bolduc up there. He struck out looking against Cornelius in his first at bat. Late on the cut. DeShiro a big lead at first, being held on by Carter as the pitch is swung on and missed for strike 2. So 1 ball, 2 strike count. Cornelius back to the set. And the pitch misses high. 2-2 now. Cornelius with a check over to first base. DeShiro able to get back with the dive. Sky's still fairly bright overhead, but that nasty weather looming off to our west. Runner starts and stops as Bolduc swings and misses for strike 3. Down by way of the K for the 2nd time this afternoon as Cornelius hauls in strikeout number 9 in his outing. That brings up Anthony Sareva, 0 for 1 with the K. And he swings and misses as the velocity continues to be excellent for Cornelius. Shiro not going as the pitch is fouled away for strike 2. Breeze blowing in towards home plate once again as Cornelius checks on the runner at first and just back in ahead of the throw. They had him leaning. It was a good throw for Cornelius, but DeShiro just able to get that hand back into the first base bag ahead of the tag from Carter. And the next pitch is waved at and missed. Sareva down on strikes. Back-to-back Ks for Cornelius. He has now reached double digits, 10 Ks, with still one out left to get here in the fourth. Batter at the plate, Drew Urban. He takes the first pitch for a high strike. Cornelius with the next pitch. They call it on the swing. Urban down in an 0-2 hole. Coach Hill clapping the hands down in the third base coach's area. Here comes the 0-2 pitch. It's in the dirt. Gets away from Lee. The runner takes off for second, gets in safely. Trickled just a bit towards the third base side, but that was enough for Tashiro. He was off as soon as he saw that ball hit the dirt. Advances on the passed ball. And so now Mansfield with a runner in scoring position with a 1-ball, 2-strike count on Urban. And the pitch cut on and missed. 3 more Ks in this inning for Evan Cornelius. He struck out the side in 3 straight innings, 11 strikeouts through the first 4 frames for Cornelius. Dominant once again. And Milford continues to hold on to a 1-0 lead. Bottom of the 4th inning comes your way after this here on Milford TV.
Top is the first. Scott already set it up, so you should be good from that standpoint for this inning. The top comes first and then bottom.
This is the bottom of the 4th?
Oh.
I thought we were bottom of the 4th.
Yeah, we are. Alright. Got the roller there.
Let's have a couple cheerleaders.
Luke Rogan back out on the mound for the Hornets. So far, in an inning and a third of relief, he has not yet yielded a hit or a run. He has walked 2 and struck out 1. He will deal with the bottom of the order bats for the Scarlet Hawks, Joey McGee, Victor Martinez, and Joe Butler. So we've reached the bottom of the 4th. First pitch from Rogan is a called strike on Joey McGee, who has the lone Milford hit so far this afternoon. He reached on an infield single with 2 outs in the 2nd inning. It touched off a potential rally for the Hawks, where Milford ended up loading the bases, forcing the starter Jacob Madak from the game. And here, solid contact for McGee as he drives this ball out into left center field for a base hit. So now responsible for both of Milford's hits. And the first hit to go beyond the infield dirt for the Scarlet Hawks this afternoon. And so the leadoff man aboard. More base runners for the Hawks as now Victor Martinez steps to the plate. He shows bunt, takes a pitch low. That's the kind of game that this is. Both of these teams know the situation, the potential for inclement weather coming in here within the next hour. So trying to sacrifice that runner into scoring position to try to put another on the board. Instead now Martinez swings away and sends one to the opposite field for a hit. McGee hits second base, goes right on to third. So forget the sacrifice. Martinez with an opposite field base hit. And the Hawks now have runners at the corners with nobody out. And so once again, it's the bottom of the order getting it done as they did the last time around. 7, 8, and 9 hitters all getting on in that second inning, only to be stranded on the bases. And so now McGee and Martinez aboard once again at first and third. And a chance for Butler. Butler shows bunt and instead takes a strike. No further activity warming up for the Hornets for the time being. And with the way that Evan Cornelius has been pitching this afternoon, another run on the board may just be enough. Here's a bunt out towards the plate. The runner breaking for home. It's a safety squeeze executed by the Scarlet Hawks. As McGee comes in to score, they do get the out at first base, but Butler will be awarded an RBI on the bunt. And so Milford does push another run across as McGee scores to make it 2-0. The lone runner now is Victor Martinez aboard at second base, one down in the inning now as Nick Koch returns to the plate. Koch had that controversial strikeout to strand the bases loaded in the second. A couple of pitches there that easily could have been called ball 4. Certainly had us fooled here in the broadcast. So Koch 0 for 2. He has struck out twice.
This thing was way down here, holding on to the tips. I just want to move it.
Oh, sorry, we'll get you back. Use the one camera you got.
And now sends a pitch rolling towards second base, gobbled up by DeShiro. He gets the out at first. On the play, Martinez advances to third.
All right, I'm good. It was Justin that did the Zoom one. Come on. I hate this crap.
Your head is loose there.
And so now a 2-out chance for Damian Carter, looking for his first hit.
It's either feels too
He has
sticky or
flown
too
out
loose.
and walked through 2 plate appearances thus far. And Carter takes the first pitch a little bit outside for ball 1. Rogan to the set. His pitch misses again. 2 balls and no strikes. And now that pitch grabs the inner part of the plate for a called strike. We're on our own for the remainder of the game in terms of the count, as the scoreboard has been rendered non-operational for the remainder of the afternoon. It's a 3-ball, 1-strike count now on Carter. Should he reach, we will see Keith Lee. And the 3-1 fouled away. So the count runs full to the Milford first baseman. Rogan gets the sign from his battery mate Aiden Jones. Here comes the payoff pitch, and it misses outside for ball 4. So the second walk worked by Damian Carter in the game. Third walk issued by Luke Rogan. 5 walks in all now for Mansfield pitching. They continue to leave the door ajar for Milford to extend this lead. Aiden Jones stepping in front of the plate to get his defense aligned properly ahead of Keith Lee. Runners at the corners. And Lee sends this ball underneath the glove of Martin at third base. Through for a base hit. Martinez crosses the plate. First pitch swinging. Keith Lee with an RBI single. And Milford now is going to take a 3-0 lead. Martinez scoring on the play. Carter down to second base. And we'll have a courtesy runner once again for Keith Lee as Brady Butler comes out onto the bases. He scored a run as a courtesy runner for Lee back in the first inning. Runners at first and second as Evan Cornelius takes strike 1. Rogan leaving that pitch outside for ball 2. And now Rogan with a pickoff throw down to second base. A little bit of a late break towards the bag for DeShiro, but he was able to get there to receive the throw. Carter was able to slide back in safely. Now comes to the plate, misses high. So count 2 balls and 1 strike on Cornelius. As this pitch is sent in the air down the right field line into foul territory. Long run for Sareva. He's not able to get there. Lots of foul territory to the right field side here at Fino. That ball lands harmlessly foul. It'll be a 2-ball, 2-strike count now to Cornelius, who has been absolutely outstanding on the pitcher's mound, looking for his first hit at the plate. He did reach on an error in the first inning and then grounded out to short in the third. Long look in this time for Rogan. Here's the 2-2. Popped up in foul ground. Jones turns to give it a look, but that is out of play. And we'll do it again. Still a 2-ball, 2-strike count. Milford sending some new baseballs into play before we continue. Carter leading away from second. Courtesy runner Butler at first. It's the 2-2 pitch misses badly for ball 3. Seen a few times Rogan trying to backdoor that pitch to these right-handed batters, but he hasn't been able to locate it. Now a 3-2 pitch, and this one is sent over to shortstop. And in the air, Zukowski able to make the grab, just keeping that ball off the infield dirt. So a line out to shortstop off the bat of Cornelius, and that will end things here in the 4th inning. But Milford able to grab a couple of runs on the safety squeeze for Joe Butler and the RBI single for Keith Lee. So it is now a 3-0 lead for Milford on top of Mansfield on this coverage of Milford High School varsity baseball on Milford TV.
Promised me that someone would be here every time to open it. They may not even know the game time. Yeah, right. It doesn't matter what.
Evan Cornelius returns to the mound for his 5th inning of work. It has been fun to watch Cornelius operate so far in this game. He has struck out 10, make it 11 batters through his first 4 innings of work. We called a softball game a couple of weeks ago in which the North Attleboro starting pitcher struck out 21 batters. Every out she recorded in the game was a strikeout. We won't see that for Cornelius today. We have seen 1 out on a flyout in this game, but every other out so far has been a K for Evan. And he starts out with a called strike 1 in to Luke Rogan as Mansfield sends batters 8, 9, and 1 to the plate in the top of the 5th. 1 ball and 1 strike now the count. Rogan has been on for the last 2 1/3 innings in relief for Mansfield. He throws left, but he bats from the right side. Now, a pitch fouled away to bring the count to 1-2. So the Milford softball team starting to filter into the stands here, getting an earlier start time in this afternoon. They've already wrapped up their action, so here to cheer on their counterparts here on the baseball field. as Cornelius leaves that pitch outside, evening the count at 2-2.
On their way down here at 2:30.
Here comes a 2-2 offering. And it's sliced foul out of play. A tricky at bat being put on here for Rogan to lead off this fifth inning. He led off the third inning with a single, so he is 1 for 1 on the afternoon. He was ultimately stranded at third base in that third inning. One of 3 hits surrendered by Cornelius. Here's another 2-2. Tries to dot that outside corner, just misses. And a full count now to Rogan. The one issue that Cornelius has had in the last few innings has been the leadoff batter. He has allowed the leadoff man to reach in each of the last 3 innings. Here comes his payoff pitch, and he'll do it again here in the 5th as he allows a leadoff walk. Second walk issued by Cornelius. Mansfield now will send a courtesy runner out to replace Rogan. It is number 11, Connor Curtis. And so a situation where we'll more than likely see Jones bunting here. Consigli already in on the grass at third. No indication of bunt on that first pitch, which is a strike to Jones. He struck out swinging against Cornelius back in the third inning. And now that pitch misses low. Despite the dominance, Cornelius has had just 1 1-2-3 innings so far this afternoon. That was the first inning. Here's a 1-1. Ball came screaming inside, but Jones fouls it away, and the count goes to 1-2. Sky's starting to darken off in the distance. And the wind's starting to pick up a bit as well. A check over at first base, and Curtis is able to dive back in head first. Runner takes off. The pitch is in for a strike. No throw down to second base, so Jones caught looking, giving Cornelius his 12th K of the game. Rogan down to second base on the steal. So he reaches scoring position. One out and a runner at second base, with now Connor Zukowski taking his third at bat. He swings at the first pitch, hits a sinking line drive out to left field, a dive for Butler, but he can't get to it. And now a bobble out in left field, and that will allow Zukowski to advance to second. Butler, going into the dive, thought he could make the catch on that ball. Made contact with his glove, but he couldn't squeeze it, and then Butler with a little bit of a tough time securing the baseball, and that allowed Zukowski to advance to second. So we'll award Zukowski the base hit, and then an error on the left fielder to allow him to advance into scoring position. And now we'll have a mound visit from Coach Dion, with Cornelius in his first jam. First true jam of the outing. He did have a couple of base runners on in the third, but now 2 in scoring position with only 1 away here in the 5th. The entire infield gathers for the conference, and Again, as we continue to anxiously watch the weather, getting reports that the rain has started out in the Worcester area now, so it is quickly closing in. From our amateur meteorology here on the sidelines, we're looking at about a 91% chance of precipitation as of 6 o'clock, so that is just 29 minutes away. And with the pace that this game has taken over the first 4+ innings, unlikely we're going to get things wrapped up before the rain arrives here. It certainly doesn't help to have an elongated mound visit, which now has broken up. Madak will step in on the right side. 2 on in scoring position with 1 out in the top of the 5th. Madak swings at the first pitch and sends it foul and out of play. Jacob so far today has struck out twice against Cornelius. Here comes an 0-1 pitch, and that's in for strike 2. Sam Martin, the batter, on deck for the Hornets. Rogan, or I beg your pardon, Connor Curtis, the courtesy runner, is your lead runner at third with Zukowski at second. Here comes an 0-2 pitch, and it's upstairs for ball 1. Cornelius, a quick glance at the runners. Now his 1-2 pitch, and that's in for strike 3. Madak frozen, couldn't pull the trigger on the swing, and he has now struck out 3 times against Cornelius this afternoon, as Evan now has the baker's dozen in strikeouts. Runners remain at second and third for the Hornets with 2 down. They'll look for something out of their number 3 hitter, Sam Martin, who's been quiet so far. Hitless in 2 at-bats. He struck out back in the 3rd inning against Cornelius, and now takes the first pitch for strike 1. Last little bits of sunshine starting to get overtaken now by the heavy cloud cover, as Cornelius sends that one to the outside corner for strike 2. 0-2 on Martin. Cornelius back to the set. Here is the 0-2 pitch, and it's sent on the ground towards second base, fielded there by McGee. He flips to first base for the out that retires the side. So just the second out in this game that has come by any other way than an Evan Cornelius strikeout. But it's good to conclude things here in the 5th. 2 more runners stranded on the bases for the Hornets. And we move on to the bottom half of inning number 5. Still Milford 3 and Mansfield 0 here on Milford TV. Sky is getting darker by the minute as we are now into the bottom half of the fifth. Lewis Consigli, Sean McGee, and Joey McGee, the three batters expected in the inning. Luke Rogan back out on the hill, continuing his relief work for the Hornets. One ball, one strike count to Consigli. Popped out to second base in the second inning, worked a walk in the third. One of 5 walks allowed by Mansfield pitching in this game. Here's the 1-1. It's waved at and missed. Just a heads up to our viewers, if things start to go south here with the weather, we may have to bring an abrupt conclusion to our coverage. We'll try to stay on for as long as we can, but judging by the skies, we don't have a whole lot of dry time left here at the field. That continuing here for Consigli to lead off the fifth. And he sends one on the ground towards shortstop. Zukowski gobbles it up. Gets the throw to first base in time to retire Consigli on the 6-3 ground out. Starting to feel cooler here at the field now as well. We're up into the mid-70s when we started setting up here. Temperature still right around the 70-degree mark, but the breeze making things feel a little bit cooler. Base is empty with 1 out now for Sean McGee. He swings at the first pitch, sends it in the air out to shallow left center field, and nobody home. That's going to drop down for a base hit. A wide turn around first for McGee, but he will hold there with a 1-out single. Just a little looper into no man's land out into shallow left center. And that is hit number 5 in the game for the Hawks. So out hitting Mansfield now 5-4. Joey McGee now at the plate. Takes the pitch high for ball 1. And this is the part of the lineup that has really gotten it done for Milford this afternoon. Joey McGee, Victor Martinez, and Joe Butler have been on base a combined 5 times this afternoon. They've scored 2 of the 3 Milford runs. Lead at first base for Sean McGee. He'll get checked on by Rogan. Now McGee sending a pitch again out into shallow left center. Again, a trouble spot. And again, it will drop down for a base hit. So both McGees with near identical shots out into shallow left, and both rewarded with base hits. And getting chance of the Blooper brothers from the third base dugout as both McGees reach on those shallow base hits. But all hits show up the same way on the scorecard. Runners at first and second now with 1 out for Victor Martinez, who's been on base twice today. Once via a walk, and last time up he singled and scored as part of that 2-run fourth. Takes the first pitch high for ball 1. Doesn't appear that any action is loosening for the Hornets, so this game will continue to belong to Luke Rogan, at least for the time being. McGee's leading away from first and second base as the pitch is a strike. Next one on the way to Martinez, misses outside. Pitch from Rogan misses high. The runners take off. The throw to third base is not there in time for the out. Little bit of a double clutch for Jones behind the plate, and Sean and Joey McGee execute the double steal, putting 2 runners now in scoring position with 1 out in the inning. And the pitch swung on and missed. Full count now to Martinez, with Joe Butler waiting on deck. Here's the pitch, and it's swung on and missed. So Rogan ends up winning the battle. Second K for Rogan. Second out in this bottom of the 5th inning, and now Milford will look for something out of their number 9 hitter, Joe Butler, who has been productive. A walk back in the 2nd, and then drove in a run on a safety squeeze play in the 4th. Swings at the first pitch here and sends it foul to the backstop. A 1 pitch from Rogan is in the dirt. Stays around the feet of Jones, and no advance from the lead runner, Sean McGee.
Sun has been raised.
Milford looking to tack on to a 3-0 lead. 2 runners in scoring position with 2 away in the 5th. Now an off-speed pitch misses high, and a nice stab for Aiden Jones to keep that ball from going to the backstop. Some of the fans anticipating the turn in the weather, starting to make their way to their vehicles, despite this being a good game in the making. Butler offers at that pitch, sends it foul and out of play. 2 strikes on the hitter. It's a 2-ball, 2-strike count on Butler. Long look in for the lefty. Now the 2-2 pitch, and it's foul tipped into the catcher's mitt for strike 3. And so Milford leaves 2 runners in scoring position. And so we will head to the late innings now, with the score remaining 3-0. Milford on top of Mansfield on this coverage of Milford High School baseball on Milford TV.
It's already 69 right now, so we're already out 70 by 8 p.m. in the mid-50s. I'll bring a straw for you next time. We'll just queue it up for you. Tim was saying there should be kind of this game at this point. And I heard him warn the is no lightning. It's just got the rain.
There's some stuff.
I don't know. It doesn't. Milford hits the wall. Overrated.
That's one of my love that place. He would fly up there and just go get a bird.
And the mother. Try it again.
No, no one's there. I don't know why.
I still got the app.
Put him on.
Kyle, I'm on camera. Still working.
Getting started with the top of the 6th inning. Evan Cornelius facing batters 4, 5, and 6 in the Mansfield order. And deals in a first pitch strike to Matt DeShiro. There have been a couple of batters in this lineup that have given Cornelius trouble today. Zukowski out of the leadoff spot has been on base twice. DeShiro has been on base twice himself, and it'll be a third time here as Joey McGee can't handle the ground ball to shortstop. And so DeShiro will reach on the E6. Milford commits their third error of the game. And so the pattern continues as Mansfield puts their leadoff man on base for the 5th consecutive inning. And so it has been Zukowski, DeShiro, and also Luke Rogan out of the number 8 spot. They are the only batters that have reached base against Evan Cornelius, but they have done so now a combined 7 times.
I know, you gotta just keep tweaking it until you find the sweet spot.
And now a ground ball hit to third base, takes a terrible hop on Consigli, and that will make its way out into left field, right over Consigli's glove.
Yep.
Not sure if that'll end up going in the books as an error for Consigli. It clearly took a hop off a rock or some uneven surface over there at third base, went right over Consigli's glove. We'll make it a hit for Wyatt Bolduc. And so the first 2 have reached here for Mansfield in the 6th inning.
I don't see anything.
And that brings up Anthony Sareva, who offers a bunt at the first pitch. They'll say he went around, did not make contact, so both runners are able to advance as that ball got away.
I prefer a little too much than too little because I so easily lose.
So a pass ball
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
on Lee. So now 2 in scoring position with nobody out for Mansfield. And an 0-1 count on Sareva. Not bunting this time, takes a called strike. The lights coming on here at Fino with the darkening skies. 0-2 pitch is swung on and missed. Blew that pitch past Sareva. Strikeout number 14 now for Cornelius. A big first out in this inning. Keeps the runners in place at second and third. Mansfield with the tying run at the plate with 1 out in the 6th. The batter is Drew Urban. Takes the first pitch for a strike. I beg your pardon, a pinch hitter at the plate now. It is Will Lund batting in the place of Urban. That pitch a strike. Urban had been 0 for 2 with a pair of strikeouts against Cornelius. Evan quickly getting ahead of the pinch hitter. Sends that pitch high. Lee able to pull it down. The count goes to 1-2. Cornelius leaning in to get the sign from Keith Lee. Now his 1-2 pitch. That misses up and away. Lund does not chase. The count evens. Not a lot of quick innings in this game, even despite the fact that Cornelius has been pitching so well. Here's the 2-2. And Lund holds up on the swing, and they're going to say that pitch missed. I'm not sure where. It's been a bit of an inconsistent strike zone throughout the afternoon. And so now a full count on Lund. Here is the 3-2 pitch, and it's low for ball 4. So frustration here for Cornelius. Thought he had strike 3. A lot of people around the field thought he had strike 3, and instead loses Lund on the walk. It's the 3rd walk allowed today by Evan Cornelius, and get another mound visit here from head coach Alex Dion. Just a few quick words exchanged as Mansfield has loaded the bases here in the 6th inning, so the tying runs are on the base paths with 1 out for the Hornets. And we talked about the trouble spots that have existed in this lineup for Evan today. This is one of them, Luke Rogan, who has singled and walked against Cornelius in the afternoon. Mansfield with a pinch hitter in the on-deck area. This is Connor Curtis, who we've seen as a courtesy runner in this game. Looks like he will bat in place of Aiden Jones. But first, the at-bat for Rogan. He starts off ahead, 1 ball and no strikes. And starting to hear our first raindrops now hitting our canopy overhead as this ball is lined right back to us here behind the backstop. The count evens at 1. Been chatting in between innings with some folks out further west in the state, and they have all said the same thing. Once the weather reaches, it ramps up in a hurry, so starting to hear these early raindrops. Only the start of what's to come. This pitch misses outside. So this may very well be our final inning, depending on how things continue to unfold here. So again, if we have to make a quick exit from the broadcast, we apologize. We've got to keep our gear and our crew safe. As Rogan aggressively swings and misses on that pitch. It's a 2-ball, 2-strike count on the number 8 hitter, Luke Rogan.
Like this be the final inning. That makes sense. Give him the opportunity to score.
Cornelius shakes off the first sign from Lee, now has the pitch he wants, and it's in for a called strike 3. So Cornelius finally able to get Rogan for the first time today, gets him for his 15th strikeout. And now we will indeed see Connor Curtis come to the plate in place of Aiden Jones. Second pinch hitter of the inning. Right-hander now settles in to face Evan Cornelius. A jogging lead at third base for Matt Tashiro, who started off this inning reaching on the error by Joey McGee at shortstop. Wyatt Bolduc then singled, and then after a strikeout of Anthony Sareva, it was Will Lund reaching on a walk to load the bases. They are still loaded now with 2 outs.
Once they wrap up everything.
As the rain starts to fall here at Pheno Field.
That's what the impression you got that's going to wrap up after this.
There's the pitch in for a strike. Cornelius one strike away from getting out of this bases loaded jam. He is ready. Here's the 1-2 pitch, and it's in for a called strike 3. Once again, Evan Cornelius strikes out the side, tallies K number 16 in his outing, and dances out of a bases loaded jam, sending us on to the bottom of the 6th inning. It is still Milford 3 and Mansfield nothing here on Milford TV. Just as we get started with this bottom of the 6th inning, the rain starts to ramp up a notch. Pitch comes in high. It is a pinch hitter up for the Scarlet Hawks, and I do apologize, but we do not have a number 8 on the roster from the start of the season. So I do apologize that we do not have a name to put to the leadoff batter here in the 6th inning, batting in the place of Nick Koch, who had gone 0 for 3. Fouls the pitch away, so it is the top of the Milford order. Damian Carter waiting on deck. And the wind starting to pick up as well, so we may very well have to break away from the coverage here as this 6th inning continues on. Get one more pitch in here in the at-bat. It's a pop-up out into shallow center field. Center fielder makes the call, makes the catch for the first out of the inning, and we are going to now break away from the coverage here, so we do apologize that we can't see this game through to its conclusion, but for the safety of our crew and our gear, we'll wrap things up here with Milford leading the Mansfield Hornets by a score of 3-0, and a quality pitching performance being put on here this evening by Evan Cornelius, and hoping that the Scarlet Hawks can hang on for a victory. We'll certainly update you on the status of this game, but that is all that we can bring you here today as we start to pack up our gear. Good luck to the Scarlet Hawks the rest of the way here. This has been coverage of Milford High School athletics here on Milford TV. So long, everybody.